Hey everyone, and welcome back. You know, personalization is something that every website promises these days.
Right. They say it's going to make your whole experience amazing.
Exactly. But honestly, how often does clicking on something like recommended for you actually impress you?
Yeah, it's often more like, oh, so the algorithm still thinks I'm the same person who ordered that pineapple pizza
Oh,
6 months ago.
ouch. Yeah, not a good look. This web trends optimized blog post we're diving into today, it totally gets that. They actually use a Domino's example.
Oh, no, not Domino's.
Right, like imagine if you're vegetarian and you're just constantly bombarded with offers for extra chicken
It's
wings.
like, come on, guys.
It's personalization gone hilariously wrong, but it shows just how much some sites are just totally missing the mark.
Well, and it really points to this bigger problem a lot of sites have with personalization. They're just stuck in the past,
Mm-hmm.
like relying on your old purchase history or just outdated data.
Totally. It'd be like walking into a bookstore and the staff only recommend books based on that one cookbook you bought like 2 years ago.
Exactly.
Like, what about all the other literary adventures you're craving now?
Right. And what about people who are totally new, just starting out on their journey with a site? That's where this whole real-time affinity models thing comes in.
Okay, so affinity models, it sounds a little technical, maybe. Can you break that down for us? What makes them so different?
So instead of just looking at what you used to like, the site is suddenly hyper-aware of what you're looking at right now.
Oh,
It's like every single click, every time you scroll, the site's putting together a puzzle of what you like in real time.
oh, wow. So say I'm looking for headphones, right? And I'm spending a while checking out the noise canceling features and comparing prices for wireless models.
Okay.
The affinity model is paying attention to all of that.
Absolutely. It's not even just what you click, but how long you spend on a page or even what catches your eye, all of that. So it's way more information than knowing that you bought headphones a year ago.
So it's like instead of just showing me every single pair of headphones under the sun, they're starting to narrow it down to, okay, this person's really into those noise canceling wireless ones without me having to say it out loud.
Exactly, like having a personal shopper who's watching your every move,
Okay, I like where you're going with that.
not in a creepy way,
Ah, of course not.
but in a way that's like, okay, let me tailor this whole experience to what you actually seem to want. Like, they notice you're hanging out by the old records, right?
Yeah.
And you're picking up certain albums, really looking at them, and then they can kind of nudge you towards similar artists or stuff in that same genre that you might never have even thought of.
Okay, that makes sense. But I know the article kept talking about points and weights that get assigned to each action, and I'll be honest, I don't totally get how clicking a button or even reading a review turns into those points. What even are those points?
So it's actually pretty cool how it works. Imagine this. Every single thing you do is like you're dropping a coin into a jar, right?
Okay.
Clicking on a product image, that might be like dropping in a nickel. You watch a product video, maybe that's a dime. Add some to your cart, boom, that's a whole quarter.
I like.
Right, so the more you're interacting with a certain type of product or content, the heavier that jar gets and the stronger your affinity is.
So it's not even just the number of clicks, but it's about how much those clicks are worth. Like spending 10 minutes reading camera reviews matters more than if I'm just like clicking through 5 different models.
Exactly. And here's where it gets really wild. This is all happening super fast, like milliseconds.
Whoa.
While you're browsing, the site is constantly thinking and rethinking and personalizing the entire thing just for you. You don't have to wait 24 hours for it to learn you anymore.
No more, hey, we see you bought some socks last week, so here's a bunch more socks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it goes way beyond just products. The navigation, content even, like how search results show up. Affinity modeling can make all of that stuff feel relevant to you, like right now, based on what you're doing.
So how does this work with everything else we already know about personalization? Like, we've got those user profiles, some websites have quizzes, and there's always good old purchase history. Is this all going away?
Not at all.
Yeah.
Think of it like this. You're taking all the stuff that's already working and then adding a whole other level of insight on top of it.
Okay.
So those other methods, they're giving you that explicit data, what people are directly telling you. But affinity modeling, that's about the implicit stuff,
Oh, interesting.
the stuff people don't even realize they're telling you.
It's like those behavioral cues that tell you way more than someone actually could if they were just trying to explain it out loud.
Exactly.
Like, it's one thing to say what you're interested in, but how you actually act and move around a website that reveals so much more.
Right. It's like having a conversation with someone, but instead of just listening to the words, You're also paying attention to their body language,
Hmm.
like how they're saying something often matters way more than what they're actually saying.
It's all about reading between the lines.
Exactly. And when you start combining both of those things, that's when it's really, really cool.
So we're not just talking about websites that are personalized, but like hyper personalized, ones that just make sense without feeling like they're making assumptions based on one thing you did 6 months ago.
Exactly. Like, imagine you go to a website, you're checking out some travel gear, right? And just based on what you're clicking on, the website actually changes. Like the navigation bar suddenly highlights sections about backpacking or photography
Yeah.
because it's picking up on what you're into.
Okay, that's pretty slick. It's like it's reading your mind.
Right.
But, like, what does all this actually mean for businesses? Beyond just being really cool, does this whole hyper-personalization thing actually do anything?
Oh, yeah. Aside from just being super cool, it can have a huge impact on how a business does. Like engagement goes up, conversion rates because people are actually seeing stuff they're into.
That makes sense.
And ultimately, it's all about those relationships, right?
Yeah.
When people feel like a company gets them, they're way more likely to stick around, check out what else they have, and just become loyal customers.
It's like you're way more likely to go back to the coffee shop that remembers your order and maybe even recommend something new that you end up loving versus the place that's just like totally generic.
Totally. And this goes way beyond just trying to get you to buy something.
Hmm.
It's about really connecting with people in a way that just makes sense, using data to make things feel less like, here's our sales pitch, and more like a natural back and forth.
So we're moving past that one-size-fits-all approach and making every experience count. Well, everyone, that about wraps up our deep dive into the world of affinity modeling. Hopefully, this has given you a lot to think about.
Absolutely.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking those questions, and remember, digital experiences don't have to be boring.
And that's it for this episode of Test World. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed what you heard, feel free to check out more episodes on our channel. And if you want to learn more, head over to webtrends-optimize.com or check out our other podcast, The Big Lift. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.